What are we talking about? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm for you! Can't wait! Let's go!
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Sideline to Sideline. We have some happy guests in the house. We have some unhappy guests in the house. We have some football to break down. We have some football to cry about. I am excited to talk football tonight with these lovely gentlemen to my left, to my bottom left corner. Maybe not the guy below me because he's very happy and I'm not. So it's kind of a weird giving back. But you know what we'll do? Normally, I introduce people in a different order, but we're not going to do that tonight. We're going to introduce the one, the only, not guarding the 2. He's guarding the 3. The only guy that had a playoff win this past week, Mr. Guardy 3.
Whew. Yeah, it feels great. I was obviously very happy to watch it on Sunday, and honestly, I'm sure you guys were too, watching the Cowboys get mauled like that.
I'm going to try this for you one more time, Guardy 3. I'm going to try it one more time. And if you don't hit on it after the last time we did this, I'm going to be very upset.
All right.
Go,
Pack, go.
My guy. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. To my left, I got the Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network. The man, the myth, the legend. You see him on the Big 3. You see him basically everywhere. The guy's chomping at the bit to talk about some football tonight. The King, Kyle Edwards.
What's up? I mean, look, you guys had playoff games to get excited about. Saw the new coach in New England. I'm actually hyped about it, so let's go.
You're dead on the money on who got hired.
Mr. Mayo.
Robert Kraft has been all over Jerron Mayo for 2-3 years. I figured that's who he was going to get.
In the bottom left corner, another guy. And by the way, don't say you guys got playoff action to talk about, because me and Godfrey would rather have not had playoff action to talk about. I'd rather have been with the Patriots were this offseason and not had to watch that massacre on national television to Baker Mayfield. Yuck. Yeah, you're right. I am down a couple dollars because of Dallas, but I'm happy about it, John. John is the guy. Listen, John is the guy that will literally write down every one of my picks. And then when I get one wrong, he's like the first one in the comments. Like, you were wrong. You were wrong. Hey, John, did Washington win the national championship? Just wondering. All right, bottom left corner. I got Taking It Deep, Birds Deep, Mr. D. Godfrey.
Yeah, I lost money on the Cowboys as well, but it was bittersweet as I was hearing pick 6 from Darnell Savage, Dakota Rain Prescott, being the king of mediocre that he is. And, the Cowboys just kind of went back into their hole. The cockroaches went back under to the dirty dishes and the dirty sink and the trash, and they're gone too. So at least if the Eagles lose, the solace is I don't have to hear about the Cowboys in the next round. So,
yeah, we'll talk about both the Eagles and the Cowboys debacles, but we got to stay in order. Let's start with the legend that was Mr. Joe Flacco and the legend that is becoming Mr. C.J. Stroud. A lot of people forget about this game, but C.J. Stroud was electrifying. He looked like he had his coming out party. The guy had almost a perfect quarterback rating through 3 touchdown passes. Oh, by the way, I could probably give you every stat line if I just go to Guardy 3, because I'm sure Guardy 3 has Jordan Love's memorized, and it's the exact same stat line. Guys, it was insane. You had 2 young quarterbacks that came into this weekend, and they blew it up with the exact same stat line. How about that? C.J. Stroud and that friggin' Houston Texans defense. Did you guys see the mic'd up version of D'Amico Ryans telling forget the linebacker's name that got the pick 6, but he told him where to go. He's like, this is the route, go here and just look for that ball and you're going to get a pick. And then D'Amico Ryans was dead on and loved it. Loved every minute of it. Good for the Houston Texans. Good for D'Amico Ryans. Give me your thoughts on Houston versus Cleveland. Kyle, how are your thoughts on the game?
I mean, look, there were two teams that I kind of enjoyed how they finished up the season. You know, Cleveland dealt with all the injuries at the quarterback position and still got it done. Houston turning it all around in one season just by getting the right guy to coach a group of young players and bringing in a new kind of energy. So when the game started, I was wanting to see for, D'Amico Ryans trying to prove a point, a young team, how would they react to the playoff moment? And I thought CJ Stroud and that group played about as perfect of a game as you could ever see because CJ Stroud stood there with blitzes coming onto him, stood in the pocket tall, still made passes down the field. They had complete control of that. Yes, they were at home, so it might have been a little bit easier for them, but I was thoroughly impressed by Ryan's, Stroud, and that Texans group. And, early into the season for the Browns, but everything that they battled through to get there, still a success for them as well.
I do want to bring something up. And maybe I'm being too much here. Maybe I am. I don't know. 3rd and 5 from the Cleveland 39-yard line. The game's 17-14 at the time. CJ Stroud throws an incomplete pass to Dalton Schultz, and there's a penalty for defensive pass interference on Ronnie Hickman. It was probably the worst call made all weekend. And there were some bad calls this weekend. It was not a DPI, but it was 3rd and 5. It would have been 4th and 5. And the Texans would have had to make a decision. Are you going for it on 4th and 5 there? Are you trying to kick a 56-yard field goal? Are you punting the ball to Cleveland? It's right now it's a 3-point game. Terrible DPI call. Next play is a hold. Next play is a 40-yard touchdown pass from CJ Stroud to Dalton Schultz, I believe. Let me see who it was to. To Dalton Schultz, 37-yard touchdown pass to Dalton Schultz. I'm not saying Cleveland wins this football game because they lost 45-14.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying is it does change the course of the game a little bit. I think Cleveland plays a little bit different down 10 points versus down 3 or 6. I'll digress. I'll ask you guys the question. Did you see the call? Number one, it's a terrible call, I promise you. And if you didn't see the call, if you did see the call, did you think it had a real effect on the game? Godfrey, you want to take a deep? Brett, what do you want to do?
I think it maybe would have, it definitely would have changed momentum for a little bit. I don't think it had too much of an effect because I don't think it changes Joe Flacco throwing pick sixes. I think that
it doesn't. See,
Okay.
I think it might change the fact that Joe Flacco threw pick sixes because when you're aggressive in that situation, because you're down 2 scores or you're down 3 scores, you have to throw the ball a little bit more instead of relying on the run game. I think it did change the way that Cleveland played the football game. Now, still, Joe made the plays. The game wasn't.
I agree. 100%.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at, listen, the way the Packers won a game, we'll get to that later. The only way I believe I said on the show last week, I'm not sure, but the only way they were going to win is if they started out fast and got ahead of Dallas. I think it would change how Dallas can play the game, and the same thing could be said for the Browns. The Browns want to control it with the run, play good defense, and they made them have to play fast. And I agree. That definitely changes how they can approach the game offensively. I agree with you.
I still don't think Cleveland wins the game. I want to be clear. I think the better team is moving on. Guardy 3. I'm going to go back to you. Do you really don't think that the Browns play the game any differently if they're down 3 or 6 versus 10?
I mean, if you're still down 10, you can still play within the game plan. Like, that's not a really insurmountable lead. So
Sure.
I don't think in that moment it changed too much because you're only down 2 possessions. You can still run the ball, you can still pass, you can still mix it up. So in that moment, I don't think it really changed too much. Now, when they started to get down more, it changed, but I don't think going down 10 really changed much.
Okay. Kyle, any thoughts on that, or do we want to just...
No, I agree with Brett. Only being down 10, you can still run your plays and everything like that. I just thought I could see also from your point of view, maybe it slows momentum just enough, but that game got away from Cleveland very quickly, and it just turned into CJ Stroud's coming out party.
It was 2 pick sixes in the second half that got that game away. But that CJ Stroud touchdown to Dalton Schultz doesn't happen without that DPI, which is all I'm bringing up.
Right.
And in the second half, they're down 10 with the ball, pick six, get the ball back, pick six, game's over, right? You go down 38-14. It doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so we'll talk about the Houston Texans a little bit more when we do a preview about the Baltimore Ravens game. Let's move on to the nightcap. Nightcap, 0-degree temperature. Gotcha, I'm going to you first here. How much did it affect Miami? Oh, God.
Run that back. My headphones fell out. Sorry.
0-degree temperature. How much did that affect Miami? And if they played in a dome, does that game get played differently than it did getting played on 0-degree temperature? I think that the Kansas City Chiefs proved to you that they are, yeah, and I agree, Jory. Jory said it perfectly. Miami didn't want to tackle at all. It looked like they were scared to tackle, and that Patrick Mahomes run shows you everything you need to see. It was like they let him run by him. It was almost like it felt like it was just like, I don't want to hit him. Maybe I'll get called. But do you think Miami just didn't show up? Poor coaching? Do you think it was bad game plan? Or do you think it was just a more experienced playoff team beating up on a less experienced, injured Miami Dolphins team?
I think that was a tough ask for Miami. I think Mike McDaniels is a little overrated. I'm going to come in hot off the top rope. I think that they rode the coattails of that 70-point win all season long. And people will think of that game, and they think they can get some semblance of that in every game. And to be honest, I wasn't surprised. It could have been at a neutral site, which they had a game at a neutral site, coincidentally, and Kansas City won. It was a lower-scoring game. And I think it would have been the same. I think that the blitz would have got to Tua. I know they were fighting injury. I get that. But I just don't see – the Dolphins didn't really win any big games this year, if you think about it. They went against the Bills when they needed to. They coughed up that division. I mean, I think there should be a sharp eye on Mike McDaniels the way that season ended. Maybe not as bad as Nick Sirianni, but it was kind of somewhat in the vein. They were sitting in the driver's seat. I mean, the Tennessee loss, the Bills loss, they gave up a special teams touchdown. They backed into it, and they didn't end on a high note. So, I mean, I don't know. Then they do you want to pay Tua $40 million? So I don't think it would have. I think the cold definitely affected them for sure. I still think they could have had an opportunity to compete, but a lot of injuries, and I just don't think that they were equipped to win on the road. I think they're pretty one-dimensional in a sense where you approach them a certain way, you get to off his spot, you have to speed up the release of the pass and the timing to the receivers, and you can beat them. They got that one pass with Tyreek Hill, but that looked like a one-off to me. I didn't expect that to be happening throughout the game.
Jory's coming in hot. Any coach that comes in that Shanahan tree tends to get in their own way when they absolutely don't need to. Kyle, Brett, your thoughts?
I think that the weather did affect them, but I don't think it would have mattered if they played in a dome. I still think the Chiefs would have won. The Miami Dolphins just aren't a physical football team that they showed. They didn't want to get physical. They didn't want any part in tackling, especially in that cold weather. Not to mention, it's really cold. Now, the ground's a little more slippery. You can't get as good as footing. So now you want to try to run all these deep route concepts and everything that the Dolphins love doing? They can. Tyreek Hill said he got jammed to Cancun. So I think that it's a mix of coaching. It's a mix of conditions. Overall, Miami was just ill-equipped of playing on the road, and choking away that 3-game lead in the division really cost them in this one.
Kyle, your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I agree. The Dolphins lost this game when they lost the division to Buffalo and knew they had to go on the road.
Yep.
They played that game against Kansas City we'll just use the cold weather as a reason for us not really wanting to be here, because they knew they blew their opportunity. That was a team that was built for – if they had the 1 seed, I feel like we would feel a lot better about the Dolphins because they would know that every game would be at home. They could do all their stuff, but the minute they stepped on that field and Kansas City looked like a team that was ready for it and we're going to hit them, they were like, this is fun. We'll wait for next year.
And Andy Reid has, I don't know, he doesn't have very many first-round playoff losses. It's very.
Speaking of Andy Reid's about to play his first. Or sorry, Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes is about to play his first career road playoff game.
It's wild.
Is that not the most insane stat?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's so wild.
I'm floored. We got to go into Sunday. Let's talk about Sunday. Brett, this is your game, brother. Brett called it. He was on the Packers. He's a Packers fan. I didn't see this one coming. This one hit me like a truck. Lost $500 on the game. Sorry, Mom, or anybody that's listening. But I was so confident the Cowboys would win this football game. I thought this was a no-brainer. I put together a CeeDee Lamb 80 yards, Dak Prescott 250, and Cowboys money line parlay plus 134 for 400. And I hit the other two, but Cowboys money line kind of got in the way of it. I've never been so happy to lose money. Never been so happy to lose money. And I think that it was really evident that when the game was mattered, when the game was close early, when Green Bay was starting strong, Dak Prescott just wasn't up for it. Threw that pick to Jair Alexander. He didn't have a passing yard in the first quarter. And the part that really stunned me, the Dallas defense played more zone in that game than they played all year. I didn't understand that. They play zone, a matchup man defense all year. You have Stephon Gilmore, Deron Bland. What happened? You had Micah dropping into coverage. What did they think was going to happen there? It's almost like they rode the horse all the way to the dance, and they're like, nah, I'm going to go on a razor scooter. Try something new over here. That would be like me tonight finding our Madden football championship. Just changing my playbook up in the Super Bowl. Doesn't make sense. I got to give credit where credit's due. Jordan Love looked great. And Brett, I'm hoping to get in an argument with you here. Like, I want to get a little passion out of you. I want you to argue with me. I'm going to say a comment that's going to be a little disrespectful, and I don't mean it to be because I love the Packers, but I don't want to say lucky. But Jordan Love looked a little like when you watch that football game, did you not get a sense that like everything's falling for this kid? Back leg throw over the top, landed right on the money. Even the touchdown when they went up 48-16, I know it didn't matter anymore, but he was running right, sidearm through the ball in between three defenders for a touchdown. I understand the time. It's just when I watched that football game, I thought that was a lot more of like every dog has their day than I thought Jordan Love's elite. And the reason I bring that up, because I really kind of want to get in this debate with you, is because there's so many people online being like, there's not 5 quarterbacks in the NFL I'd take over Jordan Love. And I think that's like ludicrous. There was a poll in which they said, who would you rather have going forward, Jordan Love or CJ Stroud? And it was like 60-40. I don't even care that it was 60-40 CJ Stroud. 40% of people picked Jordan Love. This is the same guy that lost to Tommy Bag of Donuts on Monday Night Football. Help me help you. Tell me, Brett. Was this Jordan Love's coming out party or was it a little lucky?
No, I think this was just straight up Jordan Love's coming out party because a lot of those throws did look lucky, but these are the throws he's been making consistently during this 7-2 run. I even commented in the chat, watch Jordan Love. His footwork looks pretty bad at times. He likes to throw off of his back foot and off balance. But he's been doing this for 9 weeks now straight, just off his back foot, sidearmed. It doesn't really matter. The thing with him, he has pinpoint accuracy wherever he needs to put the football. The thing with Jordan Love is I do think it's too early to say he's a top 5 quarterback. I'll give it that. I think we need to give it another year. With Jordan Love, I think this kid has a high-end ceiling that he could be a multi-time MVP. I think that highly of him. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league because he's doing this with a bunch of first and second year guys. The way he elevates talent around him is absolutely insane, and not a lot of quarterbacks can do it. I don't even think you can make an argument that any quarterback in these last 9 games have been better than him. Then, like, maybe Josh Allen's been better, but there hasn't really been a quarterback that's played at the level of Jordan Love. Lamar, okay, so he's in a group with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
All right, so I'm going to play a game with you real quick, Brett, and I don't want to get too far into this, but I want to play it with just you because I feel like Godfrey and Kyle are going to be on my side, but that's okay. If you're starting a franchise, we're going to play a quick game with Jordan Love or. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Can we do that? So starting tomorrow or next season, going into the season, do you want Jordan Love or CJ Stroud?
Right now, give me CJ Stroud.
Okay. Well, no, right now, this is anybody going forward. Your projection. All right. Jordan Love or Justin Herbert.
I'll stick with Jordan Love.
Oh my God. I didn't think we were going to start this early, but that's okay. Jordan Love, I don't even, why even mention the next game? Why say Jordan Love or Jared Goff? Like, why? Because he's definitely going Jordan Love there, right? Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts?
Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts? That's a good one. I will, you know what? I'll stick with Jordan Love.
How dare you? No, just joking.
Jesus, should I say Jordan Love or Patrick Mahomes? Like, I don't know how far he goes with this. How deep do the waters run? Jordan Love or Trevor Lawrence?
I would take Jordan Love over Trevor Lawrence.
Jordan Love or Josh Allen?
I'll take Josh Allen.
Okay, so he's got Jordan Love or Joe Burrow?
I'll take Burrow.
And then Mahomes is easy, right? So
Yeah.
you got 4 quarter. Jordan Love or Lamar Jackson?
Who? Man, I think it's, with all due respect, I'll have to say Lamar Jackson.
So you have 5 quarterbacks in the NFL you would take over Jordan Love going forward. You have him the 6th most valuable quarterback in the NFL going forward. Listen, Brett, say it with your chest. I love it. You're a Packers fan. You have the opportunity to be optimistic. I really think that, and I really think that optimism might get shot down this week. I hope not. For our sake, for me and you, we're both rooting for the same team this Sunday. Same team or Saturday. We're both rooting for the same team. I would love nothing more than for Jordan Love and the Packers to beat the 49ers this week. We'll see. Let me get one more game. If he does it versus San Fran, you might have me on board.
So let me ask you,
what is yawning? Are you yawning because you don't care about the Love boat?
I mean, I would call it more like a duck boat, but I mean, it could be a love boat maybe eventually. Right now, it's a duck boat.
Mo said Jordan Love or Purdy.
Jordan Love, easy.
Oh, easy. Kyle,
I love it.
what did you think about this game? Packers, Cowboys.
I mean, I was not expecting it either because I thought this was a game that the Cowboys win. Everybody goes crazy about the Cowboys, and then they lose this upcoming weekend. But you got to look, momentum is the thing. Green Bay had a lot of it going into this game. They had to win a few games down the stretch to get into this position. So you could say that they were kind of in playoff mode for the last couple of weeks. I mean, Dallas was kind of the same, trying to win their division. But once again, the Cowboys are going to cowboy, and this is what they do. Like, I don't get it how all the talent that we've been told that Dallas has, yet they can't beat a Packers team that, according to like a lot of the NFL people, we were supposed to understand that, oh, they're supposed to take a step back because there's no longer Aaron Rodgers there. LaFleur as a coach is, but they put it together. Although the broadcast did go a little much on the whole Love and Rodgers comparisons. Like, calm down with that. But because I'd probably, look, Brett, I'd take Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, you're going forward. I think anybody would, though. For 1 year, you're not doing Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers. Come on, bro.
Some might.
You're wrong.
Freddie would.
All right.
I don't know. I kind of side with Kyle on that. I know, Brett, maybe you tell me this. We'll ask Brett this since he's a Packers fan. I feel that Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback, and he still was when he left, but I felt like he was still on the decline slowly but surely year after year. I don't feel and people and I just that's the way I was looking at
When
it.
you say decline year after year, you do realize that his last year was a decline. You're right, but the 2 years prior, he won the MVP, right? You know that that's not called a decline.
Well, it is. I mean, he got hurt this year. That's not his fault. But I mean,
Oh, he said when he was with the Packers, he was on a decline year after year. He had a bad season when he lost his number one wide receiver, but the 2 prior years he won the MVP.
when did he lose his number one? Devontae got hurt
Last year. Devontae Adams got traded to the Raiders.
Oh yeah. Listen, I see Jordan Love playing with Bo Melton. And Aaron Rodgers would have turned his nose up to that. He turned his nose up to Romeo Doubs. He turned his nose up to other guys that are there performing now. I don't know. Either Jordan Love's that good or the Packers draft well. Got to be one or the other.
Quick question, because we got to move on. I'm going to ask all three of you guys this really quick. Was it a Cowboys collapse or a Packers triumph? Kyle.
No, I'll get the Packers love for it. Packers triumph.
Godfrey.
I think it was a Packers triumph.
I think it was a Cowboys collapse. Brett, I know what you're going to say.
It's
Packer triumph. Am I correct?
It's both, but I'll go with Packer triumph. But the answer is a mix of both.
Cowboys going Cowboy. They ran they ran like 30% zone all year. They ran 60% zone versus the Packers. That was embarrassing. It made no friggin' sense. Dak Prescott was the MVP of the league, won 16, or maybe not the MVP of the league, MVP runner-up, won 16 straight games at home, and looked like a shell of himself in the first half. Looked terrible. He looked exactly like Dak Prescott looks in the playoffs. Cowboys going Cowboys.
I mean, not for nothing, the Cowboys were after Shaquille Leonard, and we saw how bad the Eagles' defense was. Leighton Vander Esch going down, I think that hurt their defense a lot. Maybe they changed scheme because of that. Aaron Jones had himself a day, too. It wasn't just the pass. I mean, and
he did. He shredded that Cowboys defense, and the reason that they switched primarily to zone is so they could stop the run. That's why they did it.
Yeah, and I that's the only way they were going to beat them.
I would argue the Packers forced them into that.
Yeah, well, that's the only way I thought they could beat them because look, if you no matter when where Dak is playing, when he's playing, if you get up 14-0 and look at his record coming back, it's pretty damn abysmal. He's not the type of quarterback, and I also think, to be fair to Dak, it's not his fault, but that injury, he's not, his escapability isn't as good as it used to be after that injury, that gruesome injury he had.
The mug's coming, Mo. The mug is coming. Marry the coach to the quarterback. All right. So, guys, the best game of Wild Card Weekend, Sunday Night Football. The return of Matt Stafford to Ford Field. I loved every minute of that football game. It was a great game. The Lions are one of the best playoff teams you could watch. The home atmosphere. Their tickets to get in that game are $500. Is the lowest seat in the house this upcoming week. That Lions team is riding hard. Eminem was there introducing them. I'm going to be terrible when I say this. That was the worst called game of the whole weekend. The Rams got robbed. That 3rd and 14 play to Puka Nacua, there might have been 3 penalties on the play. Aiden Hutchinson goes to take down Matthew Stafford, and then I forget the guy's name. I don't know who it was. It was the end from the other side. Just dives into his helmet, knocks him out. Stafford should have had to leave the game for a concussion. Not called. Mm-hmm. Puka Nacua was abused on that play. Not called. I'm not saying that the Rams don't still lose the football game. And I got to give Big Balls Campbell all the credit in the world. 2nd and 9, twice in a row, he threw the football. One was to David Montgomery, a little swing pass, and the other one was to slant to Amon-Ra St. Brown, that just basically ended the game. I just don't like the fact that it felt like there was a lot of home cooking. And, I feel like
you mean it had an NBA feel to it? They were awarding 3 points to the home team?
Yes.
I don't disagree with you there. That was a bad call. But I will say, if the Rams came up with 1 touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns, and those 3 field goals that they had in the red zone, it takes out of the refs' hands. I'm a big believer in that. They left plays on the field, but it was pretty egregious. And like I said this on the last show, and I said this at the beginning of the show. As an Eagles fan, does that burn? Does that sting? I have no sympathy for any of you who lose any game because of a PI call. I want you to feel my pain for the rest of your life. I'm just going to leave it at that.
What was more of a PI? What was more of a defensive holding or illegal contact or a PI? Bradbury in the Super Bowl or what the Lions did to Puka Nacua on the 3rd and 14? Just wondering.
It was Puka. The Puka call was egregious.
It was so bad. Like, Kyle, what were your thoughts watching that game?
I mean, I just thought it was cool that, the Lions and Detroit had something to cheer for. You saw Calvin Johnson. You saw Barry Sanders. So it was just a great environment. I do think that, it kind of culminates what's gone on in Detroit with all those down years and Dan Campbell going in there and really changing how they play and the culture and everything like that for them being rewarded with the home playoff game and winning it. Like, I give them all the credit. Yes, the Puka Nacua stuff. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Especially when you see the replay from like every angle, you see the jersey tug, and you're like, okay, they'll call that, and then it's like, oh, come on,
We got hit before the ball got there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the jersey tug was just everything to me. It was
Dude, to me,
nobody was in a crowd.
That was the worst.
It wasn't even in a crowd; it was in plain sight. And they refused to call it. But I don't want to take it away from Detroit, though. Because like Godfrey said. If the Rams capitalized, if the Rams capitalized early on, you're not in that situation.
I got a Grinch moment for you.
Yes, sir.
I need Kelly Stafford and Matthew Stafford to shut up and stop complaining about getting booed. You left them and you won a Super Bowl.
Did you hear about the leaked audio?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Kelly Stafford was talking about how well she was treated by the Detroit fan base. There's leaked audio of it. So she essentially is one of our "you got to be kidding me's" that we almost used, because there's leaked audio of her talking about how well she was treated and in Detroit. And then afterwards she went and did the boo-hoo-hoo thing. I was booed.
And plus I was reading an article and she's talking about how her kids got booed and all that. I'm like, listen, lady, you've been in football around your husband for a long time. I went to the NFL draft, and when they drafted DeBrickashaw Ferguson, who was from Long Island, and they wanted Reggie Bush, the Jets fans were singing, "We want Bush, we want Bush." Kyle Brady came on there to give this little kid a prize, and they booed the little kid. The Jets fans booed the little kid. So this is football. Like, for you not to expect that, or you don't bring your kids out of the environment. You had to be the most obtuse, unaware person to not expect something like that to go down. Give me a break. There's people like, stop.
We got to move forward. We got 2 more games to recap, and then we got to preview 4. So let's move. Luckily, we don't have to recap much in the Steelers Buffalo game. The only thing I want to talk about is George Pickens going to the media saying it's impossible to win a game in Buffalo playing against the Bills and the referees. Are you kidding me? Did you not watch the game you were playing in? It was 20-0 before they blinked. Mm-hmm. I don't think that game was close. I don't think there was ever a time. I think Buffalo outplayed them on both sides of the football. Anytime Pittsburgh got that game, even within striking distance, Buffalo went right down the field and scored. There was no issues. I don't think this was a game in much question. The 2 things I want to talk about is George Pickens crying to the media and the fact that Pittsburgh has all these whiny wide receivers. I don't understand how they have so many of them. They have like a laundry list of them. Martavius Bryant, Antonio Brown, Chase Claypool, now George Pickens, Deontay Johnson's not that good. There's a lot of them, a whole world of them. But Bills Mafia, man. Can we give Bills Mafia some friggin' credit? Bills Mafia was incredible. And I've never seen anything like that stadium starting a game. You have to shovel out your own seat and sit where the hell you want. Never seen it before.
I'm fighting tiredness. I apologize for yawning, but hearing George Pickens complain makes me want to yawn again, because you had Mason Rudolph. You were bringing a butter knife to a knife fight. Stop. Like, nobody. If there was one game that I was more sure about than the Cowboys game, it was that game. You weren't going into Buffalo, and you weren't winning with that. Like, stop. Mason Rudolph. If that wasn't happening, that would have been the most epic playoff home collapse ever if you're losing to the 3rd string of the Pittsburgh Steelers at home.
Kyle, what's worse, the George Pickens complaining or the Bills fight song?
I mean,
I don't even.
You know the Bills
well,
fight song,
yeah,
right?
it's just shout.
They
You
stole
know,
it. That's not even a real fight
early
song. They
on.
You
stole
know
it.
that you know that
Yeah.
their fight song is shout, right?
They just
It's
changed
incredible.
one word.
They literally just put, you make me. It just says the Bills make me wanna. That's it. Shout, throw my hands up and shout. Come on now. I still think Pickens is worse.
Crazy.
And also,
Pickens had a
Jory
fumble
said,
in that
I know I'm
game,
not
too,
shoveling
so.
no damn. Jory, you're not shoveling no damn snow for $100 an hour. Shut up. I love you, Jory. You're not shoveling snow. You're not messing that hair up. You're not messing those fingernails up for $50 an hour. You're gonna get a man to do it. Stop it.
Yeah, listen, I know people are fans, but I do have to say, if I was a fan and I had a season ticket and I was going to a playoff game, I'm not shuffling shit. That's all I
Nope.
got to say.
Fact.
I don't care how diehard you are. Listen, you guys, congrats. But I'm going to tell you, you are a grade A sucker for that. I would have like, what? You better upgrade my seats to like VIP. I want to be
No,
on
it
the
was
sideline.
open seating. It was
Yeah, you sit
open
wherever you want.
seating. Sit anywhere you want.
Yeah, nah, man. I would personally, I'm a huge football fan, but if you told me there was a blizzard that day, I've gone to post blizzard games. I would have stayed my ass at home, warm, with my own beer, my own pisser, my own nachos, and my own TV.
Fact. Fact.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this. If you want to hear a whole breakdown of the Eagles collapse, we can listen to Birds Deep. We got to move on to previewing some games, but the Eagles were absolutely atrocious. I don't credit the Buccaneers. I literally put all blame on Philadelphia. Philadelphia fell apart. I will ask you this though, just for the heck of it. Do you put Philadelphia's collapse? If you had it on a scale of 1 to 100, 100%, you can break it in. Personnel versus coaching. I just want to hear your answers because me and Godfrey just had this damn debate. Personnel versus coaching. Give me the pie chart. Percentage.
Whew.
Oh, man.
It's not clear cut.
It's tough. I'd probably go. Honestly, I kind of want to lean more towards coaching, not putting people in the right positions. So I'd probably go like 75% coaching, but 25% players. Because at the end of the day, they still have to execute, and they didn't seem to want to make tackles or blocks. Or I think I'd lean more towards coaching than players.
I'm not trying to tempt. I'm not trying to sway this.
No,
I'm going to shut my mouth.
That's pretty much where I was at.
because if you look at it, the previous season, they had a lot of the same players. They went much further. You lost your coordinators, which is part of coaching, and this is where they are. So clearly, the two guys that they lost were more valuable than
Give me
the
the pie
two that
chart,
they had to
Kyle.
replace them.
Yeah, what's the pie chart?
I might have to go 75-25 because the lack of effort.
95.
I
But
went
the lack of
70-30
effort-
on the show.
95. 5.
But you have to give the players a lot for the lack of effort tackling.
Bro,
I'm
they
not gonna put
tackled
that on
the end of the
coaching.
season. They gave up on the coaching staff. They gave up on the coach. The culture is ruined. Culture's on. I'm not doing this again. Go listen to Birds Deep. You can hear my rant. I already lost my goddamn voice from it. I'm
I know.
done.
That's
I
all-
was 70-30, so you guys were on the Godfrey spectrum right there.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Like, that's
We have to move
professional.
on to
You can't just
previewing.
put on the coaching and things okay.
We have 4 games to preview. Saturday, you have your 1 seats. What's the order? Is it San Fran start us off or is it Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah, Baltimore starts.
Baltimore, I'd love that. I love that you're starting off with Lamar Jackson versus CJ Stroud. Guys, I'm going to be me for 1 second. It is phenomenal from a guy that's 38 years old to see a prominent playoff game between 2 electric black quarterbacks. And I don't want to go too far into the race thing. I'm not trying to always bring that up. I feel like I'm that guy. But, man, I love me some CJ Stroud. I love the way he's played this postseason. He's going against Lamar Jackson. I think this is going to be a really close football game. I think DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud are going to give Baltimore everything they want. But in the end, it doesn't even matter because Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Kyle Hamilton, and that Ravens defense will make just enough stops, just enough plays I think that Lamar Jackson gets it done at home. I think it's a close football game, though. A little bit more low scoring than you're expecting. Give me 24-17, 23-17, 23-17 Ravens. What you got?
I was on Big Three. We talked about this game, and I'm not wavering from it. I'm taking the Texans to upset the Ravens. I think the momentum that the Texans have, I think the type of preparation that DeMeco Ryans will have that defense in, I think they're going to give Lamar some problems. And I just think right now C.J. Stroud is just way too confident in that arm, and I think he's going to make some plays on that defense.
Kyle,
so I'm taking the Texans.
I knew that was going to be his pick.
Kyle is the biggest Ravens hater ever. And that's okay. Like, it's like me with the Cowboys. Like, I get it, bro. I love it. I think this team is going into the playoffs. I thought the two teams. But I'm just going to say, I thought the two teams that could give Baltimore trouble would be the Browns and the Texans, because the Texans, they played them earlier, and the Ravens struggled. And that was C.J. Stroud's first game. This Texans team is much better than week one. And I just feel like there's something in the air. They're going to get it done. Can feel it in the air.
You know what I feel in the air? I feel a can of whoop ass being opened, because I don't think the Ravens are going to lose. I don't see Devin Singletary running it down their throat. Okay. Damian Pierce has not been used as much this year. Nico Collins is playing great. They can beat him on some big plays. When you look at that Browns game, they did to the Browns what the Browns did to them when they played them. They beat them with the big play, right? I don't see that happening to the Ravens. I just don't see that defense allowing that. I see them shortening up the field. I don't see them giving up there were some big the Nico Collins play, the Brevin Jordan play. I was like, are the Browns even on the field? Like, what the fuck? Like, they took that to the house. I was like, okay, I just don't see it. I think it's gonna be. I think they'll hang early, and I think the Ravens are gonna pull away, and the cream's gonna rise to the top. And I think the Ravens can cover. Actually,
that's fair. Guardy 3, what do you like?
I think I'll take the Ravens. I think it'll be a close game. I think both quarterbacks will end up struggling, but they'll kind of find their groove late. In the end, I think the Ravens' defense is too good, and they'll get a key turnover on C.J. Stroud to seal it. It's a pretty bold prediction with the way he's playing, but give me the Ravens, and I'll take 26-21.
Bro, who is this guy, Brett, man? Brett is locked in. I seen him on Birds Deep talking. The guy is spot on. 27-13 Ravens. Lamar is just too locked in. The Browns defense was 29th on the road this season. Apples to oranges with Baltimore at home. I love that.
Well, here's the one thing. I have to say. Part of me, though, the evil part of me would love to see the Texans win, because I would just love to see the calamity that happens to the Baltimore fan base afterwards. And as an Eagles fan, I'm in salvage mode, so I want everybody's postseason to be all effed up, okay? I don't care. I want destruction and anarchy through the rest of the playoffs. And if I saw the Texans win, I wouldn't be mad about it. I'd be like, okay, I know Kyle will be sitting there twirling a Monopoly mustache like just sitting back, because his worst nightmare is a Ravens Super Bowl championship this year and a Lamar Jackson MVP.
Yes. Yeah. I think Chris has a good point. If it is close, the Ravens might put a lot of pressure on them, because they were in this position a couple of years ago, number 1 seed. And
but that position, they were down 14-0 early versus the Titans.
Mandrews is back.
Different. Andrews back is so wild, man. I didn't think he was coming back this year at all.
Yeah. And by the way, people might kill me for this. It's a little bit different schematically as far as who the head coach is, but the Ravens last year remind me of the Eagles this year. They couldn't keep a lead. The defense was all over. The coordinators they got rid of because they guess didn't agree with the system. A little bit different of like how it collapsed, but the quarterback was injured and they came in the next year. So I'm hopeful maybe the Eagles can follow that pattern. One could hope.
Let's move on to the Saturday night game. I think Brett's going to love my prediction for this game. I think Brett will love my prediction for this game, because last week I said the Dallas Cowboys would be the blowout of the week over the Green Bay Packers, and I was dead wrong, and his Packers reigned triumphant. So why do this again? I'm going to do it again. I think the 49ers stomp a mud hole in the Green Bay Packers. I don't think this game's close at all. 35-13. San Francisco's just too complete. And by the way, if I'm putting the jinx on San Francisco, I would love to be wrong. I hope John Suggs is in the chat first thing next week. The 49ers cost you a lot of money, because that would be incredible to me. I want to lose money on this football game. I love the 49ers in this one, though. Love the 49ers in this one. I think the 49ers defense matches up perfectly to what Green Bay is going to try to do. I think their offense will be able to move the ball at all levels. Kyle Shanahan, with an extra week of preparation, is going to have a lot of wrinkles in that offensive scheme. Christian McCaffrey getting a little healthy after getting a couple weeks of rest. Ayuk, Kittle, Debo. I like the 49ers 35-13. Blowout of the week. Garth, you got to go last on this one. You're a Packers fan. I want to leave the listeners with some optimism.
You're muted.
Godfrey's muted, so just Kyle, go.
Not anymore.
Well, I think. Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Godfrey.
Listen, I had to mute it because my dog was going crazy. That's why I had to step away. Doesn't matter. Every week, I could do everything I need to do before the show. 8 o'clock, she just starts going bananas. Anyway, so I'm going to embody the spirit of Kyle here, because I don't like the 49ers and I don't like their fans. And so I'm going to pick the Packers for a goddamn upset. Okay.
Who's Joshua Bailey? Loving this guy.
I mean, I'm just going with my heart here. If I'm talking with my football mind, I think that the Niners are primed to win this game. But I do see a way that they can win this game. They get after Brock Purdy, get him off his spot. And, here's the one weakness that they might be able to expose. The secondary is not good for the 49ers. So if they can capitalize that and pass the ball, score, and get up quickly like they did last week, they can make a game of this. I do think that they'll cover. I just don't think they're going to win.
Kyle, what's your thoughts?
I hope they win. I would love it, but
same, I would too.
I mean, I do think the Niners get this one, but I will say, a confident young team can be dangerous. So if the Niners come out, show some rust, don't take the Packers seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if they knock them off. But I just think the way that the Niners are playing, they seem like they're going to be focused. They saw what Green Bay did to the Cowboys, so they should be on high alert that this is a team that they're playing well right now. I do think it's going to be closer than probably some people would think. So I'll say that the Packers probably cover, but the Niners win it.
CMC should have a field day running this ball. I mean,
Guardy 3.
So I know everyone's on 49ers a blowout. I don't think so. I think you have a situation where the 49ers do like to run a lot of zone, and it works because they get a lot of pressure. Jordan Love is top 6 in the NFL when it comes to throwing under pressure among a lot of starting quarterbacks. He's very good at throwing under pressure, so I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think his ability to stay calm in the pocket when it's collapsing on him, I think he stays under pressure and he exposes the secondary for not being so good. My football knowledge says that the 49ers will win this. They'll say they'll win about 31-25. It'll be a great game. Packers defense won't be able to stop CMC from running all over him. But I'll pick the Packers to win this one. I'll go with the homer in me. The Packers upset the 49ers.
Hold on. For Josh, for Brett, for anybody in the chat.
Go, Pack, go!
I'm liking it.
I will say the last time the Packers played in the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers got his ass waxed by Raheem Mostert and Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. So, I mean, it's a tough road game to win. That is a tough road game. If they can pull that off, he's going to get paid. You're going to be like, if he's going to be like, hello, $50 million a year, $45 million a year, Jordan Love. That's it.
All right, guys. We got 2 games that are supposed to be the closer 2 games. These are the 2 seeds. Well, not the 2 seeds for the NFC. It's the 3 seed. Let's start with the Lions versus the Buccaneers. I think a lot of people are thinking this game is going to be closer than what it is. I don't think this game's close. I don't think the Buccaneers are any good. If I'm being honest with you, I just think you're taking advantage of a Philadelphia Eagles team that was terrible. That just isn't coached. Baker Mayfield, I did find it very amusing. If you guys didn't see, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said that the Buccaneers are a good team. They're just missing a starting quarterback. And asked Baker Mayfield about this. And Baker Mayfield said, well, I think he's just not watching enough tape because he mentioned a wide receiver that hasn't played for us all year. So I thought that was amusing. I still think the Detroit Lions are too much for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think that they'll be fine against the blitz. I think Jared Goff playing at home with the home cadence, I think they'll be able. They played this game earlier in the year. And without Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Detroit Lions absolutely hammered the Buccaneers. I think the Lions win this one rather easily. I'll go Lions 28, Buccaneers 11. Kyle?
I mean, this one's tough because I've been on this Bucks run for a few weeks. I've liked what Baker's done with them. I will say, talking about the Bucks and Baker like that, like Baker's the one guy. He's going to have this Bucks team ready to go. They follow his energy. He's a guy you don't have to worry about the moment being too much for him because he's going to give you 100% of what he's got. But I do think the Lions are the better team, and I think they get it done. But I think Baker makes it interesting. I'll take the Lions in a close one.
Chris is right. The Lions have laid some eggs during the regular season.
I need Chris to reveal himself. Chris, reveal who you were a fan of. I'm just curious.
Come on, bro. You got to pay attention.
All right.
Talking about Chris in the morning show, bro. Don't be doing that.
Listen, he's got
going about laying eggs.
Listen, I mean, a lot of teams have laid eggs this year. My thing about this is I'm going with the Lions because, yes, Baker, they're talking trash. I get it. But that team is old. That team doesn't execute sometimes. And it should have been 50 points up against the Eagles, to be honest. And it wasn't. And when you come against a team that's better and the Lions are better than the Eagles, they're not going to give you those mistakes. And if you don't take advantage of them, you're going to pay for them. And you're on the road. That place is going to be rocking. They haven't seen a second round. There's people who weren't even alive when the Lions were in the second round. Like, this is – you think it was rocket last week. Like, now they're like, we might have a chance. Like, it's going to be ramped up. And as a Philly fan, I've been in that situation where a team hasn't been in for a while and the energy is just there. And I just think that the Buccaneers aren't going to have what it takes on the road. That is an older defense. I think that they're going to run the ball down their throats. I think Gibbs and Montgomery are going to have a day, and they're going to keep control of the game. They survived Matthew Stafford. I thought that was going to get them, and I just think they're playing with they play with no fear, and that's emblematic of their coach.
I love it. Guardy 3 being the Lions hater.
They're going to cover. Lock it in. They're going to cover.
I agree.
Gene, you picked the Packers 49ers to be the biggest blowout. I think this is going to be the biggest blowout. I think the Lions walk down the Buccaneers, and it's not even close. I think the Buccaneers only score when the game's over. I'm going to say the score of this one is going to be 34-17 with all the Buccaneers points coming in garbage time. We saw what happened when these two teams met up earlier, and I don't think really anything changes.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I think the Lions handle business. I think we're looking at Lions 49ers NFC Championship game. We got to go on to the main event of the evening. The main event of the evening. Sunday Night Football. 6 o'clock. Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game. And where does he have to go? Good old Orchard Park. Buffalo Bills. Patrick's been Josh's kryptonite in the playoffs. Is this Buffalo team different? I think they are. I think the move to Joe Brady has been exactly what Buffalo needs. I think they're running the football. Josh Allen is really hitting his stride. I love Buffalo in this one. I know they're a little bit shorter rest as Kansas City played on Saturday night versus Buffalo on Monday. But nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills, I think this is a back and forth football game. I think this is the best game of the weekend. I think it comes down to one possession. And I think that one possession, the Chiefs wide receivers fall flat on their face like they have had in the past. I'll take the Buffalo Bills to win this one 27-24. Kyle, what you think, brother?
I think the Bills get it done here. I feel like, the playoff game from a couple of years ago where they seemed like they had it in the bag and then 15 seconds was too much for that defense to stop Mahomes. I just think the Bills are the better team right now, even though Kansas City is coming off of a win last week. But you still have questions about that wide receiver group.
Right.
And in a tough situation, if Kelsey's not available, and Kelsey's been dropping passes as well, so he's had his own issues, but who does Mahomes trust? Who's it going to go to?
Rashee Rice.
And, he has kind of turned into the one guy that is pretty consistent. And luckily they found him, but I just think it being in Orchard Park and how that place will be, like we talked about Detroit, Buffalo's going to be on edge, especially with it being Kansas City. I'll take the Bills here, and I'll say 26-20.
No one circles the wagon. Godfrey.
Well, I think I'm going to go with the Bills. And the reason...
The Bills make me wanna kick your heels up and throw your hands up and throw your head back.
God, that's awful. We just lost all our viewers. No, I think I'm going with the Bills. I think this is the right offensive coordinator. They're pushing the buttons. Sean McDermott, former coordinator for Andy Reid, he had to fire him. This is the revenge game. It's in Buffalo, and they're gonna win. And I think this is Buffalo's year. I think they have a shot to get to the Super Bowl, but they might not. You got to get past the Ravens. But I think they're going to take out the Chiefs. The Chiefs just aren't good enough. I've said this over through the years. They remind me of the 03 Eagles. And, Rashee Rice is coming on. They don't have enough weapons. I saw someone in the comments say Tony drops a key pass. They won't even let Tony sell peanuts. So don't worry about that. He's not even allowed to sell peanuts at Chiefs Stadium. And I'm going to go with the Bills to cover. I think they comfortably cover. I think you could tease it maybe 4 or 5 points if you really want to. But and you might hear Patrick Mahomes crying about the officiating after the game.
Guardy 3.
Yeah, I'll take the Bills as well. I think it's a 3-point game, but then the Bills pull away with late touchdown, and Mahomes tries to answer, but his receivers drop important passes on the last drive. Give me Bills 30, Chiefs 20.
Okay. Real quick, guys, we have a minute left. I just want to get your we already gave your Super Bowl predictions before the playoffs started. I want to hear out of the teams remaining who you'd like to see play in the Super Bowl. All I want to hear is the teams and then maybe 1 second of what you want, why you want it. I'll start. I want the Buffalo Bills to take on the Detroit Lions because neither team has won a Super Bowl. I like to see one win one. Kyle.
Oh, I'm sticking with mine. I have Niners Bills because it's the Chris Berman special. He used to pick that every year, and I feel like finally get it.
Godfrey, who do you want to see?
We know who Guardy's picking. I'm gonna go. I'm with Eugene. I want the same exact outcome, and I want to see either the Bills or the Lions win a Super Bowl this year. I want to see a new crown for a team that hasn't won one.
I like it. Guardy 3.
If it's not the Packers, I would love to see Bills 49ers, and I want to see the Bills win by exercising the demon of Josh Norwood and winning on a game-winning field goal.
You
couldn't pick the Lions, you sour piece of crap, could you? I knew.
No.
All right, well, guys, this was a great episode of Sideline to Sideline. I appreciate everybody in the comments: John Suggs, Jory, Damian Hernandez, everybody that's been in the comments, Derek Dempsey. I've seen you guys all in there. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for listening to us on Sports Empire Network. Make sure to check out the morning show tomorrow morning with Chris and Mo. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. Taking it deep with D. Godfrey and guarding the 3. Check out the N1 podcast tonight. We are signing out.